coming back last week and just being back and integrated in the sport?
Honestly, there was way more than I thought. I think you get out of the sport for a little bit and you realize that you've been here for a while and you've done a lot and done some cool stuff. And I knew I had some great fans from the past, but had no idea how many people you've really touched at some point throughout your career. And Martinsville was pretty amazing to see the people lined up outside the tunnel with all my cars and all the stuff, die-cast cars and things like that to sign. It's pretty impressive. And the other thing was, too, I can't tell you how many people that told me that they flew in from out of state and hadn't been to a race in 8 or 10 years. And it really hits home when you're sitting here in the alumni program and you're seeing all these guys that have been in the sport for so long. And I think that huge kudos to NASCAR to put this together, regenerate, get some of these guys that have been in the sport for a long, long time that maybe haven't spent a lot of time at the track in recent years, and create a platform for them to be here. I think it's necessary for them, us, and I think it's necessary for the fans to be able to reconnect with the guys that they supported for so many years. So, I've talked about, I remember talking to Ben Kennedy and, something with Steve Phelps a couple years ago about, really, a guy like that's been around in the sport, you pick X amount of time, that classifies you for this deal, but they all need a hard card. They all need like some sort of gold hard card that just gives them all access. And you know what, they may not come to a race that year, but at the same time, if something's in their town or they happen to be there, they have something, they don't feel ashamed to have to call and ask. They might have been out of the sport long enough where they didn't know who to call. The people have changed, logistically. So, to see this type of deal that NASCAR is doing now is just huge, and I think it's way overdue and super welcome.
Being one of the younger drivers in the alumni group now, seeing all the older drivers who came before you, all you guys in one room, what's that environment like?
You feel not worthy. To be honest, as a young guy, you walk into that tent and you see the history and the amount of the people that have been in this sport way longer than I have, and the guys that you look up to, the heroes that you have that are walking around in that tent, and you really walk in. Listen, my career was not the top career of a lot of these guys, right? But I had a long sustaining career. I was in the sport for a long time. So when I look at the guys here that have won the championships and won all the races they have, it's I feel a little unworthy to be here, but at the same time I know I've been around a long time and contributed to the sport as well. So it's just a really neat experience, and I'm happy to be some small part of that.
We're outside here, and so we didn't hear what was going on in there. But what are some of the drivers telling you as you talk about what you mentioned to us?
I think a lot of that same conversation. There's some guys, there's some older guys in there that literally didn't even know who to reach out to come to an event. And then there were times where in the past where and I was in this scenario where I was like, hey, can I get a hot pass to come? And you get that hot pass, they accommodate you, but then you have a hot pass, and then with a hot pass you can't get up to the suites, or you can't get into a certain area of the track. And after being here for so many years and having all access, it's almost a little, I'm happy to be there, but at the same time you kind of feel a little I guess underappreciated, if you can't get somewhere, and NASCAR is rebounding from that. This whole alumni program is going full circle, and anybody that's watching this, honestly, if there's any other past driver, past crew chief, somebody that's been involved in NASCAR that thinks that they're not maybe eligible or wouldn't be treated right to come do something like this, I encourage them to reach out and get with Amber and everybody with this alumni program, and they want you to come, they want you to be here.
Beyond the starts you're doing this year to get to your 500, what are your plans after that with NASCAR? Doing more appearances, working with NASCAR. What's your life like after you get that 500 start?
Well, it's a day-by-day thing for me right now. This is all a bonus round, and I felt really good in the car at Martinsville. That obviously we didn't have the setup right and the car was off, but it was a lot of fun to go racing again. And it's been a great platform to get other people interested in doing those 10 races. But assuming we can get that put together, I don't know what the future holds. I love being a part of the sport. I've been out of it long enough now where it's really refreshing to come back and be a part of it. So looking forward to seeing what the future holds after that.
Do you hope to get the 10 races this year?
I don't think I really think it would be very difficult to put the 10 races this year, and it's not that I couldn't do it. It's finding the right opportunity that could facilitate that type of program. There's very few with the charter program now where there's 36 full-time guys. There's only a handful of places that could even facilitate it logistically. So, I think it would be a little bit out of character to say that, hey, I could get them all in this season. I think in a dream world, if I could get 9 more in and then finish my 500 start at the Daytona 500 would be pretty amazing. But I think that's more of a dream than a reality. So just got to wait and see how it goes. I'm talking to a lot of people. There's a lot of sponsors that have called to say, hey, we want to be a part of that. Just got to see where it goes from here.
What was your response to being on the Dale Jr. down there this week? Get a lot of good feedback.
I can't believe the response I got from that program. I mean, Dale has a big reach, with a lot of people. And, it was really fun just catching up with my buddy and sitting in a room and BSing about the past. And I think that translated because there was a lot of people that called and said they really enjoyed the show. So, again, it's been fun just being a part of this whole thing again and reconnecting with a bunch of old friends. And that show was a lot of fun to do.
It's
man.
hot out here today. What's the hottest race you remember in your NASCAR career?
I can tell you right now, the hottest that I was ever in a car was out at California Speedway, and I want to say it was about 110 degrees out, but for some reason, in that environment with all the asphalt inside California Speedway, it was actually like 114, 115, inside that area, and just unbelievably hot. I can't remember. I think it got like 140 degrees inside the car. There we had a little bit more airflow back in those days to try to keep cool, but that was a hot one for sure.
Speaking on that note, the next gen car has been talked about kind of hot. I don't remember, was it hot at all last week in Martinsville? Or what was it like?
I got very hot because typically I always had some ventilation in my seat. And then a few more NACA that came to me to blow air on me in the past. And with the rules and limitations with these cars, you had to rely on maybe a cool shirt to do that. And the cool shirt worked for about the first 100 laps, and then it failed. And when those cool shirts fail, it actually starts circulating hot water, throughout your suit instead of even lukewarm water. So I got pretty hot when it came to that.
And then you talked about on Dale Jr.'s podcast kind of wanting to eventually one day sit down, have a beer with Marcos Ambrose. If he came back and did this alumni thing, would that be an opportunity?
Sure. I mean, Marcos is a great guy. I know he's back in Australia now, and we had a really good conversation after that moment, that we had. And but we never did quite get that beer, so maybe an alumni event like this would be a good place to do that.